Hey, what's going on, guys? Kitsune TCG here, back with another video, and today I thought I would show off my Pearly deck profile. Now, I think Pearly is in a fairly decent place currently. Obviously, it is not number 1 or number 2, and it's probably not the number 3 deck. Depends on how, Tenpai Dragon settles here. Obviously, different beast in the OCG with having Kaiser Coliseum and everything like that. So we'll see how competitive that deck actually translates to the TCG. I saw it a little bit at the sneak peek this past weekend, and it's a pretty strong deck. I mean, obviously being able to OTK, do a lot in the battle, it's a good battle phase deck. That's definitely no doubt. It'll be good. It'll just be interesting to see kind of where it lands with obviously us still having pretty much full power Snake Eyes. But I think Pearly is in a pretty decent spot. Obviously, if you're not wanting to spend too much money on, Voiceless Voice or, in Snake Eyes, this is a fairly budget-friendly deck. Obviously, some of these cards are still a little bit expensive, but, with the preprints next month, it's definitely a deck that I think a lot of people can kind of pick up and see a lot of success, at a local, regional, and it's, did pretty well at the last YCS, so it's definitely not a deck that's dead, but it's definitely not the number 1 deck. So I thought I'd just kind of show off what I took this past weekend, and it was pretty successful overall. We do have 3 Pearly. Obviously, you're still maxing out on Pearly. This is pretty much what you want to kind of go into with a lot of your plays, especially with Shifter seeing a lot of play. Just being able to not have to worry about using Purrely's Engrave effect to kind of go into whatever you need. And I think that's maybe one reason why you would be wanting to cut down Purrely to 2. Still need to do some more testing on it, but I think it's fine at 2. Going against Kashtira, I did have a few instances where, one of the Purrelys was banished off the Arise artifact, but I don't think that was any reason why it would affect any game outcome. But definitely something to consider if you're maybe wanting to run 3. You can definitely kind of maybe change around some different ratios. 3 Pretty Memory, 3 Happy Memory, 2 Delicious, and then 2 Sleepy. Obviously, we're still maxing out on all the quick play spells that we can. 10 right now is a pretty good mix. You're going to be seeing at least one of them or 2 of them in your opening hand, or at least another way to kind of get into something else. 3 My Friend Pearly, 3 Stray Street, and then the 1 Trap. Again, pretty, good mix. I don't think you're really running anything else currently right now. 3 Stray Street is perfect. A lot of hand traps right now are, doing, or are targeting, with Valor and Perm and things like that. So being able to special these out with the Stray Street on board is perfect. And then just kind of rounding it out with the kind of hand trap lineup, we do have 3 Nibiru, 3 Ash, 3 Valor, 2 Ghost Mourner, 2 Crossout, 1 Called By, 2 Prosperity, and then the 3 Imperm. I think this is a pretty optimal mix. Obviously, a lot of these things here are going to protect you in case you have to go second, which this deck does have some plays going second, obviously going into Happiness and just kind of being able to put up a pretty decent board with Zeus. From there, obviously you can make some changes depending on what your locals looks like. I see a lot of Ghost Mourner, alongside Valor, so I think that's perfectly fine for me. It depends on how things look for you, but I think Mourner is pretty popular right now, so this seems like a pretty standard hand trap lineup. You could maybe even just take out the Called By for a 3rd Crossout, because I don't think you're seeing too many different hand traps aside from these. Really, the only other one you may be seeing mained are Shifter, which I play 1 in the side just in case for crossouts. So really, just again depends on what you're seeing a lot of. But I like this overall. I'll kind of quickly show off the extra deck as well. All right, and then just kind of quickly showing off the extra deck here. We do have 2 Plump. This has obviously been bumped up with the getting a 2nd Delicious back. It's a really easy way for you to go into a 5 Mat Noir. A lot of times you are putting a few cards in the grave, so again, pretty easy way for you to kind of get into it turn 1 without having to worry about the trap. From there, we do have 2 Beauty. Again, this is pretty standard playing 3 Pretty Memory, you can pretty easily make Beauty, and it's pretty nice to have an additional monster negate if you can get that on board. 2 Happiness, pretty easy way for you to, when you're going second, have something to get out a pretty big Zeus or, kind of finish out the game if need be. The 1 Noir, not needing to play more than that since you are only playing 1 of the trap. 2 of the big Noir, again, 2 is just fine. You don't need to play 3. If you're making a third one, you're probably losing on the crackback to things like Snake Eyes and Tenpai, so it's just really not that good, so I think 2 is just fine. Simul Nightingale, this is great. Obviously being able to attack directly, it's a really easy way for you to be able to go into Zeus in main phase 2, so I like this. It's easy to make. Obviously the Pearlys are level 1. Then you have a Downerd, obviously to make a bigger Zeus. For your 1 Zeus, you can maybe bump up Zeus to 2. I think that is maybe something to kind of like mess around with, maybe take out a Beauty or Happiness just to be able to get a second one in there, but I think 1 is also fine. You're not usually needing to make more than 1. The 1 Typhon, again, another really kind of useful card if you have to go into a Zeus or, whatever the case may be. It's just pretty nice to have in the extra deck. Rounding it out, you have Anima and SP. I feel like at this point most people know to play around Anima, especially now with Link Kuriboh gone and it being the kind of like go-to Link one. I don't think you're going to see too many people make that mistake, but it's still pretty relevant, plus it's just a pretty easy way for you to go into SP to get like the additional banish. So it's still nice to play, but I think at this point most people are kind of aware about it, so don't think you're going to catch too many people off guard, but again, still pretty nice to play, and obviously SP is SP, so that just kind of rounds out the extra deck. Not really going to show off like any side deck or anything like that. It really just kind of falls down to, again, what your locals looks like from there. But I will definitely say when I went to the sneak peek, Threatening Roar against Tenpai was just, it pretty much ended the games. So if you don't have them, there's a lot of available like printings of the card. I think that'll definitely be a pretty decent side deck option. Obviously, it depends on how the format ends up playing out, but I think that is actually one that I really saw some pretty decent success with. So, yeah, from there, I will see y'all next time.